into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost with me, Rupha Ramani. Let's get the show started. On Firstpost today, the Indian Premier League's mega auction is set to take place in Jeddah on the 24th and 25th of this month. How has cricket too found its way to Saudi? What to expect from the auction? And what is Saudi's Vision 2030 and what role does cricket play in there? Lots of football news lined up for you as well. Mbappe seems to be miserable in Madrid. The club slumps to yet another loss. Are all the off-field controversies reflecting in Mbappe's lackluster show on the pitch? And Amorim has done it. He said he would lead Sporting to a win over Man City and be hailed as the next Alex Ferguson, and that is exactly what happened. Amorim ball seems to be the buzzword. What has his impact been like, and is this what Manchester United has been waiting for? Details of all of that on the show, but first a look at the headlines. We'll start with cricket. David Warner has accused Cricket Australia of ignoring the ball tampering accusation made on India A during their game against the Australia A side. One of the umpires had accused India of scratching the ball. Within hours, India A players were cleared of all allegations. Warner demands an explanation from Cricket Australia over their decision to clear the side. Over in football, Liverpool hammered Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League game. Liverpool scored 4 times against the German club to continue their winning streak in the tournament so far. Luis Diaz's hat-trick and Cody Gakpo's goals helped Liverpool beat Leverkusen 4-0. Over in tennis and the WTA finals, world number 3 Coco Gauff registered a commanding victory over world number 2 Iga Świątek. Gauff beat Świątek 6-3, 6-4 in a group stage game to continue her unbeaten run in the tournament. Over in NBA, Philadelphia 76ers star Joel Embiid has been suspended for 3 games after an altercation with a journalist in the locker room. Embiid shoved the journalist because of his critical column about the player's injury this season. The IPL auction dates have been announced. November 24th and 25th is when the Indian Premier League's auction is set to take place, and in Saudi Arabia in the city of Jeddah. BCCI seems to have shifted the venue though in the very last minute from Riyadh to Jeddah in fact. Either ways, this is a massive boost for Saudi and sports considering the inroads they are already making in the world of sports. Now with the Indian Premier League auction 2 set to take place there, they surely have added another feather to their cap. Before we get into more details regarding Saudi growing as a sporting magnet, let's get some of the details of the IPL auction out of the way. Getting you some numbers first. 10 teams will get into a bidding war as the stage is set for the biggest auction to take place. 1,574 players will go under the hammer. This will include 320 capped, 1,224 uncapped players, 409 overseas and 30 players from associate nations. Total purse limit for each franchise is set at $14.24 million. 25 slots is what each squad will aim to have, and that means 204 positions remain. Those 204 players remain to be filled across all the teams at the auction table at the end of this month. Many big players are going to be seen in the pool after a while, and with a few teams wanting to completely rebuild their squads from scratch, especially a captain. That will be important and trust to have a massive bidding war when it comes to this particular role. There's one interesting addition to this list, and that's a cricketer from Italy. Thomas Jack Draper is going to be in that auction pool, so excitement is clearly sky high. But the biggest point that I want to draw your attention to is the venue. Jeddah in Saudi making its first imprints in the world of cricket. Yeah, among those pictures, you saw one snapshot of that arena. Apparently, that's just 10 minutes away from the hotel where all the teams will be. One of the reasons why the shift happened. But Saudi has been trying to sink its teeth into every sporting discipline. Name a popular global sport, and Saudi would have a say or a part to play in it. It's part of their larger plan, which is Vision 2030, to diversify their investments and get into sports in a major way. Because sports means tourism, revenue, and boosting the image of a country globally. Saudi's plan in that regard has been clear for a while. The main reason for branching out, particularly in sports, is because of what they incurred in 2022. Saudi Arabia fell short of their foreign direct investments target for the year. They only managed $33 billion, still a big amount, targeting $100 billion. They fell short. Sports, tourism, and entertainment then were decided as the crucial sectors in achieving this goal and bridging that gap. They realized that despite building world-class venues and facilities, the revenue was not matching up. Hence the push to get in more global sporting icons and organizations to build ties with Saudi and get to promote sports in a big way in the country. And it's not just football, Formula One and tennis that they have a strong hold in now. Many other sporting disciplines like golf and esports, which has a massive fan following, have also entered the fray. Saudi has successfully managed to disrupt the world order when it comes to certain global sporting disciplines like what I've mentioned. They are attracting some of the biggest faces and stars to vouch for their place, their cities, as the new sporting power center. And cricket, a sport they have had their eyes on for a long while, seems to be taking its first steps in Saudi. The relationship between Saudi and the Indian Premier League actually started off with the Saudi tourism and Saudi oil company Aramco coming on board as sponsors earlier, in fact last year, and this now seems to be the next step. Coming to the city itself, BCCI of course oscillated between Riyadh and Jeddah and settled on the latter based on logistical reasons, with the venue, as I mentioned earlier, of the auction being just 10 minutes away from the hotel where all stakeholders, which is the 10 teams and the 2 broadcasters, will be staying at. In fact, sources say the relationship between Saudi and cricket is only set to grow. This, in fact, is the first real block towards that, with steps being made towards the formulation of a cricket league in the country. Saudi clearly signaling its intent of wanting a piece of every pie when especially it comes to the sporting world. If they could pull in mega stars across various disciplines, won't be too long before the same happens in cricket too. The question is, how keen will BCCI be of this new player in the sporting spectrum? Of late, it's been all heartbreak for Real Madrid. First, they were hammered by arch rivals Barcelona 4-0 in La Liga. Then it was the club feeling wronged with Vinicius Jr., their star player, not winning the Ballon d'Or award. And now the slump has extended to their Champions League run as well, with AC Milan beating the Madrid-based club 3-1 at Bernabeu. This, of course, gave fans plenty to talk about after that very sordid affair. Of course, at the center of this string of misfortunes is Madrid's biggest summer signing, Kylian Mbappe. Mostly because the French captain came with a lot of promise, huge fanfare and a lot of expectations. But those promises seem to be far from the reality that Real Madrid is currently experiencing. They're currently witnessing. A lackluster Champions League night against AC Milan only added fuel to the already burning fire. muted display from Mbappe on the biggest football platform was bound to draw heavy criticism, and it did, like you just witnessed and saw across those tweets. Now, before Mbappe's arrival, the same club won the La Liga and Champions League titles. Although now they are second in the La Liga points table, they are certainly struggling in 17th position at the Champions League. The game against AC Milan highlighted the biggest area of concern for the club: failure to convert the chances that they create into goals. They created 23 chances, 10 were on target, but only one was converted, and it was Mbappe who missed plenty of those chances. And while the AC Milan game was the tipping point for fans, Mbappe's failure to convert many of those chances and opportunities into goals has been a long-standing one. In 15 matches across all competitions, Mbappe has scored 8 goals and assisted twice, which amounts to less than a 1-goal contribution per game. Quite average for a player of Mbappe's stature, because the very same Mbappe had a different sort of a run when you look at what he did in Paris. At Paris Saint-Germain, the same Mbappe scored 256 goals in 308 matches and assisted 108 goals too. In simpler words, Mbappe at least had more than 1-goal contribution every time he walked onto the pitch. The same seems to be missing somewhat at Real Madrid. Now, the reason behind this could be Mbappe's change in the position he plays at. Now, Mbappe has played all of his career on the left wing. All his goals came from the left side of the field. But given Real Madrid already has an established player in Vinicius in that very same position, Mbappe's role shifted to more central or towards right at Real Madrid. But is that an excuse for the kind of showing that he's had? Because in the past, we've seen footballers adapt according to their team's requirements. The biggest example is, of course, Mbappe's role model, someone he looks up to, Cristiano Ronaldo. He started his career at Manchester United as midfielder, later as a winger, and then moved to a more centrally attacking role. When Ronaldo made a move to Real Madrid, his role shifted from that of a winger to a striker too. The same was the case with Lionel Messi as well in his career. He's played as a winger, midfielder, and playmaker when the team has needed him to. That's what great players are able to do, they're meant to do, and do extremely well, which is adapt and execute to perfection. So clearly, Mbappe needs to figure a way to adapt and deliver, something former Real Madrid great Karim Benzema also believes.
The problem, in my opinion, is that Mbappe is not a central striker. Even with the national team, every time he plays as a number 9, he doesn't feel right. I don't think he's going to push Vinicius to move. He's the best player in the world at the moment. Mbappe needs to get it into his head that today he's a number 9 and forget about the left flank for a while.
What's interesting to note here is the fact that while Mbappe's arrival may not have changed Vinicius' role in the team, it certainly impacted the formation of the side. Jude Bellingham, who loved being a more attacking midfielder, has gotten more defensive. That is the biggest change Madrid has had to make to accommodate Mbappe. So clearly, that has affected Madrid's chances too in the overall scheme of play, which makes it even more imperative for Mbappe to get used to this role. I understand Mbappe hasn't had the best days in the Spanish capital. In addition to his football performance, he has endured some battles off the field. Mbappe was not allowed to play the Olympics, many even questioning his commitment towards France. The matter escalated further when Mbappe skipped National League matches because of an injury, but then turned up for Madrid and was even spotted in a bar later. And then there was, of course, the rape case in Sweden that he's being linked to. Safe to say there's a lot going on right now for Mbappe to even comprehend and handle. Now is the time for him to show his champion mindset, because he isn't an average player. We know that, a World Cup winner with plenty of goals and an established star at the age of 25. His team believes in him. Given how Vinicius and the rest have hyped him during the matches, maybe it's time Mbappe believes in himself too and embraces his current role, because time is certainly ticking for Mbappe and Madrid. Manchester United have got their new Alex Ferguson. Just like the OG Alex Ferguson, this one knows how to beat a club as daunting as Manchester City. Of course, there are arguments of fatigue coming in the Pep Guardiola side, but a win is a win. And more importantly, put down someone like Pep Guardiola's tactics. Newly appointed Manchester United manager Ruben Amorim's Sporting CP humiliated Manchester City 4-1 in the Champions League fixture And now he's the rightful owner of the tag of new Alex Ferguson. It felt like a prediction, in fact, that just came true in the most stunning fashion. Amorim himself had said that if he beat City, United fans would call him the next Fergie. Maybe Amorim took his match as a precursor to the Manchester derby that is set to take place and gave it back to Guardiola and his men. Despite trailing 1-0 in the first half, Sporting CP bounced back in scintillating manner in the second to secure that victory. Maybe Amorim's halftime talk inspired the Sporting side, and what a fitting send-off it turned out to be. Given this was Amorim's last home match for Sporting, reason enough for his players to give him a bit of a sweet farewell. Those pictures certainly telling the story. This is what it meant, not just for the players, but also for all the fans watching, because it isn't just the tactics someone like Amorim brings to the table, but how he has united the Sporting team is what's to note.
I wasn't expecting to be raised in the air. I know what I did for them and what they did for me. I will keep these memories with me forever. The most important moment for me was when we lost 5-0 to City and everyone applauded.
The Sporting players treated the City game as a gift to Amorim. He earned that respect from all the players he's worked with, which you could see after that game, something that the current Manchester United squad truly needs. Because after Erik ten Hag was sacked, players felt they too were possibly responsible for the woeful form that Manchester United found itself in, which led to the manager's sacking.
The team is not the best. The results are not the best, and he is the one who pays for it. Whenever you see a manager go, you have to take some of the blame on yourself. It is because the team is not doing so well. I wasn't scoring goals. We are not scoring goals, and I feel responsible.
On one end, you have Sporting that's thriving on the culture that Ruben Amorim brought in, that he has set up, making them the only side in Europe's top 5 leagues to have a 100% win record this season. And on the other, there's Manchester United, where players are underconfident and they need a massive revival. Maybe more than the tactics, the players would be hoping Amorim brings back the unity that Manchester United desires. And if anyone can do it, it is Amorim, because despite beating a strong side like Manchester City, Portuguese manager isn't getting carried away. He still feels this win doesn't mean the same can be replicated at United.
United cannot play the way we play. They cannot be so defensive. Of course it's good to beat City, but I'll be living in a different world. We'll have to start from a different point.
He's humble clearly in his approach, because Amorim knows the pressure of managing a club as towering as Manchester United, considering he's never helmed affairs of an English club. The club with such a historic stature doesn't need just one win, but a series of good results going in their favour if they really want to get back to winning ways and winning the big titles. So he's thinking from a more practical and pragmatic approach, which is why when he takes charge for United, he will be doing the hard grind, reviving the squad from scratch, from within, block by block. And maybe in just over a month's time, when Manchester United takes on Manchester City in December, the results would get that turnaround too that fans, of course, are yearning for. Because they surely would be hoping for that kind of a result from Amorim, a sporting one, from the man who is being looked at as the Messiah that Manchester United is looking for. Time for last serve. LA Dodgers organized a victory parade to celebrate their World Series title with all of their fans. Why don't you take a look at the pictures of all fans and players celebrating Dodgers' second World Series title win in 5 years. wrapping up Firstpost on those wonderful celebrations. But that does it here. I'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, do take care. Bye-bye. But it's a completely different story on the betting market.
Elon Musk, the tech visionary who is backing Donald Trump.
In New York, the Dow Jones and Nasdaq dropped over 3%.
Joining Putin in flexing muscle is his dear friend Xi Jinping.
The U.S. law calls for a presidential poll to be held on the Tuesday.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
I like that.